How do Hong Kong residents live in 2 square meter apartments? Have you ever seen cage homes or coffin apartments? Interestingly, that's exactly what the residents of one of the most expensive cities in the world, Hong Kong, call them. What you're about to see will surely shock you. If you take a closer look at the corners of this metropolis that are hidden from the eyes of most tourists, you'll see how tens of thousands of Hong Kongers live in spaces no larger than a bunk in a sleeper train. In Hong Kong, a city that consistently tops rankings for cost of living and the number of resident billionaires, the housing issue is especially pressing. Every 30th resident of the city lives on or below the poverty line. For the poorest Hong Kongers, home becomes a metal cage or a box where one can only lie down. This critical situation has arisen because all the land in Hong Kong belongs to the government. Only 7% of the land is allocated for residential development, and it is leased out through auctions. These auctions are won by wealthy foreign and Chinese developers. They build homes and then set exorbitant rental prices, taking advantage of the limited market and the absence of rent controls. Many landlords practice subdividing apartments into smaller units, known as subdivided apartments. These are often similar to dormitories or Soviet communal apartments with shared kitchens and bathrooms. The extreme version of these is coffin homes and cage homes, where a single room is divided by plywood into a nearly endless number of sleeping spaces, measuring between 2.5 and 5 feet wide. These spaces are rented to newcomers seeking a better life for as low as $250 USD. Shockingly, it's not the city authorities, but photographers who have taken an interest in these living conditions. For instance, Benny Lam devoted 4 years to finding individuals willing to showcase their more than modest living spaces. He was so struck by the harsh reality of life on the other side of this neon-lit, prosperous metropolis that he created a project called Trapped. During this time, he managed to visit only 100 coffin and cage homes, as many people are not just embarrassed, but also afraid their landlords will find out and evict them. Benny recalls his first impressions upon seeing these living conditions, saying, "That day I went home and cried. I felt so bad. Life like this should never be the norm. Living here feels like being trapped in a cage. It's terrifying to even imagine the unsanitary conditions these people endure." It's unclear how the authorities reacted to the public exposure of some residents' living conditions, but they did announce plans to demolish old buildings and build housing with a more rational distribution of space. For at least another 13 years, some Hong Kongers will have to endure these appalling conditions. Currently, concepts are being developed for 2 artificial islands in the waters near Lantau Island, complete with the necessary transportation infrastructure. Hong Kong's government plans to build 250,000 apartments on these islands, 70% of which will be public housing. However, construction of this much-needed housing stock will not begin before 2025. The first residents will only move into their new homes by 2032, provided the government commits at least $80 billion to this project. As practice shows, all that's left is hope. Did you know about the most isolated city in the world, where it's incredibly difficult to reach and the nearest major city is 1,200 miles away? Or about a small town in Pennsylvania that has been burning for 58 years and no one can extinguish it? Watch other videos on this channel.